Hello and welcome to Editors Unplugged. Viewers, Dharna politics is back in currency. Whether we like it or not, the credit goes to the Cockroach Janta Party after what they did at Jantar Mantar. And now Rahul Gandhi has vowed to sit on another Dharna, this time outside the Parliament Street police station. He's with a pellet gun victim and he's going after the central government, demanding answers. And at the very least, one FIR. So let's open this up. Zakka, this was on the cards after Parliament was not allowed to function.
Yeah, look, it's a continuation of, what the opposition has been demanding. What happened on the 20th of July, who gave the orders, did the HM give the orders or did he not? If he did not, then he's incompetent. So it's a continuation of what we've been hearing from the opposition. I think they've really latched on to this issue that, look, in the heart of the capital, 500 meters away from Parliament, so much drama has happened and we can't just let it go. So all of it is flowing from what happened on the 20th of July. And the fact is that we haven't fully got the answers to what happened. Like, who gave the orders? Was it just the CRPF? Was it just the Delhi police? Delhi police first denied. Then there was a diary entry, which the media, including Times Now, we exposed. So every step of the way, every turn that this story has taken, I think the government has been forced to react to either the opposition or to media reports. So I think we haven't heard the last of this story yet. I think there will be justice and accountability for, what happened on the 20th of July. And I must also say this. I do think, credit where it's due. Rahul Gandhi has latched on to this students issue, not just on what happened on the 20th of July. To be fair to him, he's been talking about this for, years before the flare-up that happened in Delhi. And he's now made it into a regular feature with this whole Chhatro ki goonj and all that. And, the problem for the government is either they are reacting to him or they're trying to block him. So, for example, he had to go to Prayagraj. They tried to, block the venue and so on. He's supposed to go to Pune this weekend. Again, there's some controversy around, the location, the venue. And the problem that happens is every time you try to block somebody who is seemingly resonating with a large, you end up amplifying him, right? You just let him be, let him go, send his message, say whatever he wants to say, rather than trying to, block him, because then he becomes like larger than life. So I don't think the government has played its cards right.
What changed, ma'am? Has the CJP inspired Rahul Gandhi? What changed in Rahul Gandhi suddenly?
I would say that the government has been pushed to a corner, Zakka. Come to think of it, it has been 1 month, exactly 1 month. Huh?
Yeah.
1 month, 20th of July, 20th of August. One question has existed. Were pellet guns fired or not? And that is exactly what Rahul Gandhi is playing on, because the government has not answered that question. Answer kiya hai वैसे. We have seen Kiran Rijiju's ANI interview. Not a single person died. Is that the answer? Not a single person's bone was broken. Is that an answer?
No, he said the same thing to me. In
exactly.
the interview to me, he said the same thing.
Exactly.
No bones were broken.
आप सवाल का जवाब दीजिए ना.
Yeah.
Were pellet guns fired or were pellet guns not fired? That answer should have come in Parliament. Did it come? No. Now, it's all very well for the ruling dispensation to step out and say, yeah, opposition in nalayak hai. They themselves didn't want a discussion on this issue. My point is, if the Home Minister of this country, the all-powerful Home Minister of this country, wants to make a statement on the floor of the House, you think anyone can stop him? I don't think so. Now, the question still remains, pellet gun fire hui ya nahi hui? The Sarkar is keeping quiet, saying excessive force use nahi hui, saying, "Hare, humne to koi pellet gun fire hi nahi ki." If pellet guns have not been fired, who is that man, who is that 19-year-old today with Rahul Gandhi outside the Parliament Street police station with his eyes injured? There were 3 pellet injuries in his eyes. He's almost lost his eye, and Kiran Rijiju goes to interview after interview and he says, "Kisi ko serious injury nahi hui." Are bhaiya, a kid is going to lose his eye. That is not serious injury. Again, the point is, in this day and age, there's no point trying to brush things under the carpet. ठीक है, Saket Gokhale, all of us know.
No, I don't think there is an attempt to brush things under the carpet, because there is a diary entry that he was talking about. Madhavdas did a full show on that.
What all do we know? See, what she's saying, 3 or 4 things. What all do we know so far about pellet guns? One, there is that individual who's lost his eye. There's a journalist. I think there are totally 4 or 5 individuals, if I'm not mistaken, who've got these pellet gun injuries, right? And they were all protesters around Connaught Place, Jantar Mantar, in and around that entire area when this happened. There is video outside Pin Baluchi restaurant in the outer circle where there's a pump action gun being used, and many officials have told us, yes, this is the gun that is used to actually fire pellet guns. There is the DD entry, which Zakka also mentioned, which we broke here on Times Now, which clearly shows that 2 rounds of pellet guns were fired. So who then ordered that? Who said that the pellet gun should in fact be held or brought into the national capital in the first place?
But the diary
And if
entry,
that-
I think, says that the DCP ordered.
No, that's what they say. But you see what happens in this kind of a situation. Once things have gone out of hand, then every force will try and cover them up. Remember Delhi police, which about I think close to half a dozen times put out statements saying Delhi police has not fired pellet guns. Radio silence from RAF and CRPF. So RAF and CRPF, which technically function under the officers of the Delhi police when they are in the national capital, because this is their jurisdiction, they have to go and abide by what they say. So they say that since this was fired, what we did was we give a lowdown of all the armaments that were used, etc. And we have, this is the procedure that we have to do when, as far as this entry is concerned, the daily diary is concerned. So obviously somebody will have to do the answering. Now, whether it's the CRPF, whether it's the Delhi police, no answers have yet come on record. What is particularly surprising to me is that even in the Supreme Court, when the Delhi police has given its affidavit, when it has spoken about everything under the sun that has happened, they've not mentioned a word about pellet guns. So then what are they waiting for? And is it the CRPF that's going to come and fill in the blanks? You know, this is, to that extent, I would say the government has been trying to avoid tackling this issue. And these are not the kind of issues which any government will be able to avoid, because look at the context of the pellet gun. It has been used in Jammu and Kashmir.
Very
it has caused
controversially.
hundreds of, or at least dozens of people it has maimed. It has blinded several individuals. And we know there's a reason why in Jammu and Kashmir, if we stopped using that 10 years ago. I think that's pretty much fresh in the collective memory of us.
but
Actually, you know, there is...
The point is,
No.
the
Do you
point
know,
is, no, once,
there
let me
are
just finish. Let me
SOPs.
just finish. There's a lot of grey area as far as the SOPs itself is concerned as well, because the SOPs for pellet guns have not been made public. The SOPs for
No,
all
I
of
saw
these...
2 SOPs.
Yes,
one
so the point is-
2011 and one 2022
Exactly.
by Rakesh Asthana.
Exactly.
And
The point-
nowhere is, for crowd control, is pellet guns in that SOP.
So the
now,
point-
the MHA and the government
exactly
of
the
India
point
may
I'm
have a
making.
different point
Exactly
of view.
the point I'm making.
But
When it
Delhi
comes to
ke
crowd
liye,
control,
SOPs mein pellet guns are not allowed.
There is an escalation matrix which has to be followed, which the Delhi police says we have followed. Now, in this particular case, what we saw, and we were all, the channel was live at that point in time, we've all seen what was happening. There was a location where the protesters came over the barricades and they started moving towards the parliament. There were other areas where, all of this, the tear gas was fired, lathi charge was used. The point that several senior police officials have told us on the channel off cameras also, that whether there was, a lack of action initially, and therefore the crowd swelled up to such an extent that they had to resort to disproportionate and excessive use of force to try and quell the crowd and move all of them away from parliament. In this particular case, that's where the government and the police, etc.
Let's see how the government responds. Let's slightly broad-base the discussion.
Firing a bullet. There is an escalation matrix, yes, but firing a bullet or a pellet gun is when there is no other option with the force. There is no other rasta.
Yeah,
In this case,
that's the
had he
thing.
reached
You have
that
to
point,
overcompensate.
clearly not.
By the way, so when I asked Rijiju about it, he said, a pellet, normally the way it works is you fire one pellet and then hundreds of
200, yeah.
pellets, sort of
And therefore
are dispersed.
400, 500
So
people
he
would be
said,
injured.
hundreds of people should be injured, but how many have been injured? So
I will
said
tell you how
5
many.
people.
No,
5
no,
people.
no, no,
Yeah,
no.
Let's slightly broad-base the
8
discussion.
minutes.
1 minute.
Wait. We have Zakka just brought out a point. How many were injured? Rijiju is saying, many would have been injured. Saket Gokhale filed an RTI. 4 government hospitals where the protesters were admitted. The RTI responses came. So वहाँ पे तो कोई झूठ नहीं बोल रहा. RTI responses have come. Lady Harding 9, Safdarjung 1. The All India Institute of Medical Sciences was also, there was an RTI put. And Saket Gokhale is saying he didn't ask for the identity of who had been hit. He just wanted a number. All India Institute of Medical Sciences refused to give that data, saying that, knowingly or unknowingly, if you put out this data, the number, the victims may get identified.
Yeah.
तो उन्होंने नहीं दिया. तो कम से कम 10 तो है ही.
that वो
लेकिन कम
instructions
से
पे
कम
ये
10
सब
तो है
ऑपरेट
ही.
होता है मैम RTI फाइल कीजिए आपको बोल दिया जाएगा national interest
लेकिन
this
10
that
तो
the
है
other.
ही ना. RTI on record.
Let's now broad base the discussion. Everything is now linked to Gen Z. Rahul Gandhi uses the term like a catchphrase. He OBC, he was talking about the caste census format. He said, why is the word OBC not mentioned? Imagine if the OBCs hit the streets like Gen Z. You think that this Dharna politics has become the new template to corner the government?
See, I mean, to be fair enough, even in 2011 to 2014, this was what happened, right? I mean, India Against Corruption, Aam Aadmi Party, there was this whole thing that, the UPA is corrupt and it needs to be brought down. And it was Dharna politics. It was street level. And nothing wrong in it. I mean, in a democracy, that's what it is. As long as it's peaceful, it's fine. Now, the issue here is, I think the government got caught out, with this whole CJP stuff that happened initially. Sonam Wangchuk then became the mascot. They thought, okay, through Sonam, they would be able to control the protests. Then Sonam was, hushed away from the protest side. They thought it would just dissipate. Again, that didn't happen. And then, of course, whatever happened on the 20th of July, it really escalated. Ultimately, it took the resignation of the Education Minister, Mr. Pradhan, for the protest to dissipate. I think what is also happening is there is a serious... I mean, forget about the protests and, what happened with CJP and all that. At a larger level, see, the BJP's ascent to power in that sense from 2014 onwards was basically on the back of young people from 2014 who bought into the message that Mr. Modi said that, look, India is arrived and India is the land of opportunities and we're going to transform us. And a lot of people in that generation, you can call them millennials for want of a better, a broad stroke phrase, they bought into that message. Right? And a lot of them have backed Mr. Modi over 3 elections. Now, between 2026 and 2029, the young people who are, in their teens and who will be 18 by the time it's 2029, they're not buying this message. They don't think that they have the same opportunities as the previous generation had, whether it's jobs, whether it's cracking these elite exams and so on. They feel like their careers are much more under pressure than it was a generation ago. And somehow the government is not able to address that concern.
And the opposition is
and the opposition, of course, is using it.
Because, unemployment was always an issue in India. Yeah. Corruption was always an issue in India. These are not new issues per se. But, the kind of expectation that is there amongst the youngsters who are coming, who have far more exposure, whether it's because of social media, whether it's because of more prevalence of the net, perhaps more widespread penetration of the net and more easily accessible, the newer generation is exposed and their expectations are very high. And the burden of expectation then falls on the government. Yeah. If this is a government that is not able to provide what we want in terms of jobs, in terms of security, they are very articulate as well. And they may protest through memes, and their memes are very effective, as you've seen from Jantar Mantar, and on basic issues, trying, rather than, a millennial, like he's saying, might protest very angrily. Their kind of narrative, their kind of messaging may be far more subtle, maybe far more sarcastic, but because of that, it's a lot more effective as well. Yeah. So I think that's where the government is having a very difficult time. You look at the focus of the government, whether it's Instagram or on Twitter, etc., where the ministers have now been asked to up their social media game, where everyone is now going to be judged on the basis of that. So you believe the government is losing control on the so-called narrative? Absolutely. They were very good at that. In fact, when the government came to power, and I think Mr. Malviya moving out of the social media department and, Mr. Maske being brought in is a very clear acknowledgement of the fact that the government had put all its eggs in the Twitter basket. And mind you, the BJP was far above the Twitter game. Congress was nowhere in the picture running up to 2014 because we've covered all those elections. We've seen how the messaging was. Wait 11 of course he did. Yeah. But the point WhatsApp is this. Also. You have to, of course, he used WhatsApp effectively. The point I'm just making is the way Instagram has become so popular, for instance, last 3-4 years, a lot of us haven't realized it. And perhaps the BJP also should have been ahead of the curve, being a party that's so technologically oriented in its messaging. Perhaps somewhere they missed the bus on that. Which is why PM asking all the ministers to get, hyperactive on social media, etc., increase engagement. And go to
universities and colleges.
Let me ask you this: what is the buzz in the, the Congress party? Because Rahul Gandhi keeps telling the, the crowds that he addresses, "ये तो गया, ये सरकार गया, मुझे पता है."
नहीं वो तो देखो बोलने को तो 10 चीजें लोग बोलेंगे, and of course this is a political opponent, but I can tell
is it posturing or really he feels that he's in it with a chance?
Well, obviously, which is why the effort is being made, right? Just look at the protest today. Okay, we'll just go back and circle back to the protest today. I was just speaking to someone in the Congress party, and they are saying the point is that kal Pune mein there's chhatron ki gunj. The point also is that the administration there has been trying to stall it, just like they're trying to stall the quota.
छात्रों की गूंज पटना में भी थी, राहुल गांधी जी विदेश चले गए थे.
अरे तो सुन लो कल कर्फ्यू क्यों लगाया फिर? My point is, what the Congressy told me is that, madam, कल की छात्रों की गूंज से पहले माहौल बना दिया. Now we'll wait and see how this carries forward to Pune. I just had a very quick point to make about whether Rahul Gandhi thinks he has a chance. he has to think he has a chance, because look at the numbers. The numbers are telling us that, I have them somewhere. The numbers are telling us that by 2029, 380 million voters in this country
Yeah, Gen
will
Z
be
will
Gen
be the
Z.
biggest
है ना?
voting bloc.
30% actually.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, that's 29 to 30%. Yeah,
ठीक है. Now look at data that has come to us from the last 2 elections. BJP के लिए Gen Z has voted 40%, Congress के लिए 20%. मोटा अगर आप average करें 40% and 20%, there's a 20% gap.
Difference,
He has to give it a shot.
Ma'am, but
Otherwise, he
no,
doesn't
one minute. Are
stand
you
a
saying
chance.
that
Actually,
Rahul
I'll
Gandhi is
actually-
rallying, the entire lot Gen Z just because, some people, from Gen Z, the Gen Z 5,000-7,000 people gathered in Delhi. Does that mean Rahul Gandhi is the...
I think there was this incident that happened. I think it was one of those events this past week where he was addressing some of the Congress workers, and he made this whole thing, ye phone pinjda hai, aapko trap kar rahe hain, and all that. And somebody from the audience says, aapko bhi to dekhte hain. So, see, I think whether it is by design or inadvertent, I don't know. But I think what has happened is that this whole narrative around Instagram or other newer social media platforms, where clearly the Congress seems to be doing better than the BJP, that's rallying a whole cohort of people. And there's nothing really binding them. There's no caste or religion or your traditional parameters that's binding them. The only thing that is binding them is they're all young. They're all dissatisfied with, the government and lack of opportunities and paper leaks and all of that. And they can be, like I said, across these parameters that we traditionally, journalists and pollsters think caste pe vote karte hain ya religion pe vote karte hain. This is across caste and religion.
But sir, it
People
may
are coming
seem
together.
so from the outside, but look at the brand of politics by all political parties. All are, one is more guilty than the other. BJP, Congress, all. Caste is the biggest thing.
Of course.
Ahead of the Uttar Pradesh election.
Every election,
By the way,
every election we analyze. Is there an election we don't analyze
You
with
know,
caste? That's
Pranesh,
the
of
first
all
basis on which...
I've been a journalist for 24 years, and I'm sure this is the experience that Madhav and Zakka have. Possibly you have as well. So for all elections you go, one show we will definitely do is from a university or college. वो standard operating procedure होता है हर news channel का, तो हम लोग भी करते हैं. तो आप वहाँ जाइए, everyone will say नौकरियाँ नहीं हैं. We are going to, this time our vote is for someone who will generate employment. हमें development चाहिए, हमें विकास चाहिए. बोलते सब है कैमरा पे, but that is not what they vote for. That is my own experience. The government that has been in place for the last 10 years and the government that they have accused of not giving them jobs or development is exactly the government that is voted back.
That is true,
So,
but I
बोलने
was
के
talking
लिए
about the larger thing that
employment,
there is caste
नौकरी सब
backlash
बोलते
also.
हैं.
Look what the BJP had to suffer in Bankipur in...
No, not just that, the UGC rules, the
Exactly.
equity rules. It's a huge
Exactly.
thing that is...
Yes.
That is...
I think the attempt now is very clear. Now, with this all narrative, like Zakka is telling us, this attempt that this youth, or at least the narrative that has been built, that, and perhaps to a large extent organically also, that is beyond caste, that is beyond, the traditional structures that kind of divide society or exist within society. There's also a counter effort, starting from Mohan Bhagwat's Gen Z outreach to now what we're seeing the BJP leaders do, raise issues with a Gen Z kind of an idiom. A Gen Z, exactly, to try and ensure that those issues that are raised by the right wing traditionally are also issues that are seen relative as far as the youth are concerned, to try and wean that segment back. Nobody's argument is that Gen Z is one monolith and 99.9% will vote for Congress. But at this point of time, Rahul Gandhi appears to be having a traction.
On that limited point.
Just want to add one point to what she said. Your statistics are right, but if you look at the last 2 Lok Sabha elections, even if it's just by a percentage or 2,
1%.
the fact is that Congress has tried to enter
from 21% to 20%
but it's still,
actually dipped.
but that still doesn't mean they won the battle. The problem with the Congress party, and just before I conclude this, and I'll share a personal example, an anecdote. Before the last Lok Sabha election, the Karnataka election, Congress did very well. Congress party, if you met anybody up and down the rank and file, everyone thought, bhai, agla Lok Sabha election jeet gaye. The problem with the Congress party is that it goes overboard, and sure enough, the next Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh elections, which were actually tipped to win, they ended up losing. So the problem with the Congress party is it is also very often
different. In
it often, like we used to say about
people...
last sentence, I'll just say Congress party also very much sometimes the same phrase that used to be used for the Indian cricket team, sometimes it's capable of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. I just hope the Congress party learns from its
I
past
want to pick
lessons.
on the point that Zakka sir was making about that this is, caste neutral mobilization, etc., etc. Today at Jantar Mantar, there is a protest by Gen Zs, so-called Gen Zs, for merit. No political party, no neta is going there.
No, because see,
you
for
can't
example,
afford
even
to.
the BJP.
Because in
So
India,
this is
when
not
you,
about Gen
when
Z,
you
no, Gen
cast
Z.
your vote, you vote your caste.
No, when even the BJP, which is the most dependent on, let's say, upper caste votes and general category votes and all that, will not say anything against reservation because they've been bitten, multiple times in the past. In 2015 in Bihar, the so-called statement that Mohan Bhagwat made. Then in 2024, this concocted video of Amit Shah where hum reservation hata denge, that really led to losses in Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, etc. So no political party in India wants to touch reservation. That goes without saying. I think what is happening is, again, I come back to that. I don't think it's caste neutral. I think what is happening is there is a certain cohort of young people who are looking beyond caste, who are saying that, look, whether I'm an OBC, whether I'm a general category person, whether I'm a Dalit, the issues that are affecting me, my job security, my financial security, these are all affecting, young people, let's say between 18 and 30, across the board, irrespective of caste, religion, etc., is all the
Existential
same.
issues.
Yeah, these are, like for example, when we got into the workforce, we were all very hopeful. And for example, let's say in the television industry, we all got into the television industry at a time when it was booming and, opportunities were there and the sky was the limit. That's not the case today for young people who are entering this industry. I don't know about other industries. So I think that is there across the board where people are generally, and they're called anxious generation, right? There's a whole bestseller book for that reason.
Yeah.
They are anxious because of the
Real
feeling
reasons.
feeling that their career opportunities are not as much as what the previous
Also,
generation.
Prashant
even
Kishore's
reservation.
victory, I think, bears out what Zakka
I
is
said
saying.
it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Anger of the upper caste.
Yeah.
And which many people are attributing the Bhatyapur loss to the review on UGC guidelines.
Yeah. No, the point that you're making on reservation is absolutely right. While that is a issue that hugely resonates with the upper caste, with the middle class voter, and BJP traditionally was always called a Brahmin Baniya party, what Prime Minister Modi has done since he has come is actually quite amazing because he's changed the entire social matrix in which the BJP operates. He himself is an OBC leader, the OBC Commission getting its own constitutional status, the fact that, the B.R. Ambedkar and the Constitution Day, the manner in which it's celebrated. The whole idea of BJP has been now, over the last 12 years, to try and cement itself across all sections. So if the BJP tries to take a different
The
position on
attempt
that,
of the
they
BJP
will
is
not
to
be able
cement
to.
itself to the vote bank. Even Ambedkar was not of the opinion that, you should have mindless
And therefore,
reservations.
the larger
that the
question
BJP
is
has
they
been
can't
pushing.
go back on
Pranesh,
it. The
Yeah.
point is
what
it will
is the
not
larger
be,
question?
it will not be
2029,
practical
do
for
we
them.
think
Before
that-
but
do
before
we
we
think
end,
that-
I must
Ek
touch
minute,
on Vande Mataram.
No,
we have to.
Ek minute. The larger question is what? Can Gen Z do it for Rahul Gandhi in 2029? है ना? That is the larger question.
Can Rahul Gandhi do it for Gen Z?
पहले तो Gen Z will have to do for Rahul Gandhi. ना?
Flip the question.
Don't ask me what I can do for the nation.
Rahul Gandhi has to be
Etc.
exactly.
So my
Rahul
point
Gandhi
is-
has to be.
My
No,
point
let's
is
take
he's
a poll. यहाँ कर
एक,
लेते
तो
हैं.
मैं तो बोल रही हूँ. My
Sir, how should that question be framed?
So,
And now what is the answer?
I think
More than how should the question
I
be
think
framed?
there is a certain sense of disaffection amongst this 18 to 30-year-old, which is Gen Z, whatever you want to call them, young people, whatever, first-time voters, second-time voters, and that grievance needs to be addressed. Whoever they believe will best address it will have, I believe, a huge leg up in the
I would
एक
say-
बार Vande Mataram. We have last
Ek minute.
1 minute
But
of the
I
show.
want-
see, your debate only. I'm adding to your debate that the two of you are
लेकिन
having.
I have only not answered my question.
I'm just
सब
saying.
everyone is
आप
answering
जैसे
my
आप
question.
30 सेकंड, आप 30
सवाल बिल्कुल सही
चलिए
है।
आप 30 सेकंड ले लीजिए, आप 30 सेकंड ले लीजिए, आपको
30
कुछ कहना
second
है.
I don't think Rahul Gandhi is there. I don't think ultimately when push comes to shove, it is Gen Z that will.
मैम आप माहौल क्यों खराब कर रहे हो?
all I'm saying is
मैं
this is-
माहौल
बना रहे
खराब करूं
माहौल।
भैया मैं पत्रकार हूं सच बोलने वाला
allow
काम
me now. I'm saying this is Rahul Gandhi. He's not Subhash Chandra Bose before independence. कि तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा. These are all political parties, and voters are super smart.
Exactly.
They will go to the party that they feel is best placed to give them
Okay.
what they want.
Eight rapid fire. One question for everyone. Is the Congress right in opposing Vande Mataram?
They're not opposing Vande Mataram.
They are?
opposing.
पूरा
No,
नहीं
they
गाएंगे
are
बोल रहे।
opposing only the singing the full Vande Mataram. So let's
तो
not
वही तो है।
misrepresent their stand.
Ma'am, that is now the law. पूरा Vande Mataram
नहीं,
is
that
the
is
law.
not the law.
It is the law.
That is not the law. It's a home ministry. It's a home ministry circular. The law is very clear that Vande Mataram cannot be
The
insulted.
national song
The-
is now full 6 stanzas. There is no debate on that.
But that is not the law. It is not illegal to sing two
You don't
stanzas.
even have to sing.
It is not
you don't
illegal.
even. It is not
So
mandatory.
what the Congress
to
is
sing.
doing is not illegal.
I come back to the point. Is this an issue that is going to be vote determinant
Not
in
at all.
2029?
Not at all.
I don't think so.
Yeah, not at all.
I don't
It's a
think so.
position about nationalism, and I think the problem over here is that the Congress should have thought this thought rather than doing a knee-jerk reaction in front of the cameras where your audio is also visible. Today's day and age, you've got to get your media
but
game a
four
little bit more up
stanzas
than
cannot
that. That's all
determine
I'll say.
anyone's patriotism.
It's a bit of a slippery slope, because at the end of the day, as things stand, the only point that I'll give to Pranesh on this is that the government decides, and once it's passed by parliament, once there's a law or a set of regulations in place, everyone has to follow that. So if the Congress wanted to do a calibrated response to send out a strong message that, okay, we'll only play those two stanzas,
other ways.
they would have done it in other ways, and they should have discussed this behind closed doors rather than playing it out in the public.
That I
domain.
agree with.
That's
That
where
I
the
agree with.
perception
That I
of the
agree.
whole issue
Okay,
That
so
I
you've
agree.
conceded in the end.
how many of us know the full six stanzas?
मुझे तो
here? I
फर्स्ट
don't-
स्टैंजा भी नहीं आता
मेरे
मैम,
को
but
भी-
that is not
मेरे
the
को भी नहीं
problem.
आता है, नहीं.
वो problem
My
वो
point
नहीं
is,
है.
it
The
is not
problem
the
is
law.
mindless defiance ना. कुछ भी आ गया तो उसको oppose करना. We've run out of time.
Mindless acceptance भी नहीं होनी चाहिए ना. We are all thinking.
Okay, let's see how this conversation is received by the viewers. Thank you for watching.